See who's gonna hop on tonight. Anyone? You see my fat cat. Hello, hello. Oh, I can't see the screen tonight. I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. Normally I can see that far away, but tonight my eyes are just not focusing. All right, so who did I miss? Anyone? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hey, Fred, is that you? How are you, buddy? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. It's you. I thought I saw you. How are you? You're good? That's good. I'm glad. You're just hopping on. Tell us who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. I'm just waiting for some people to get on. I'm never early anymore. I was right on time. Usually I've been late lately. I'm trying to juggle things, right? Oh, my glasses are fine all day long until I get on alive, and then I can't see anything. Steve. Hey, Steve, how are you? Have you told me where you're from, Steve? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. I know we've had a conversation off and on, or some comments, but I didn't know if I ever asked you where you were from. Is it Richard? Richard, where are you from? Man, my eyes are blurry tonight. Usually if I have it this far away, I can see the screen without my glasses, and I only need them to read. Oh, that's better for a change. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. So we're going to talk about what I was going to talk about last night. Missouri. Welcome. Whereabouts in Missouri, Richard? Just curious. I'm from Iowa, so. Is it Dell? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. Texas. Do you have a name, Texas? Or am I just supposed to call you user 4532542773422? I love those. If you're just hopping on, Ronnie. Hi, Ronnie. Welcome. Renee. So I didn't get to talk about I just briefly started my topic last night. From the UK, welcome. Hi, user. Thank you for the badge. Whoever said hi, do you have a name and where you're from? Sweet Caroline. I don't know. Sorry, I'm in just one of those moods today. So I started talking about my topic last night, and then I had a gentleman hop on who was not doing well, so I ended up talking to him for a half an hour. He was struggling. He lost his wife unalived herself 3 months ago. And if you're new here, my husband did that a little over 2 years ago. And actually, that's why I'm here. So we're going to start the topic over tonight, unless somebody else has got a loss that they need to talk about. But first, I'm just going to wait a few more minutes here, see if anybody else hops on, and then I'll get started. So if you're new here, tell me who you are, where you're from, and then I will let you know who I am and why I'm here if you stick around. Okay. Well, it looks like we're just going to plateau, so. All right, so if you're new here, like I said, tell me who you are, where you're from. Alabama. Alabama, do you have a name? Were you here before? Just curious. So my name is Renee, and I'm from California. Welcome. The reason I'm here, I started my TikTok, Red. Okay. I started my TikTok in March of 2024, so I'm working on almost 2 years. The reason I started my TikTok is because in September, Newbie, Chino, California. I'm in California. Welcome. Do you have a name? So in September of 2023, my husband unalived himself for TikTok purposes. That's when I discovered that I had abilities to talk to my spirit guides, and they slowly breadcrumb me to my purpose, which is to help others with loss, trauma, uplift others. And so that's why I'm here. I only have 2 rules on my page. The first one is I just always ask that you be kind. And then the second one is we don't talk any politics. I'm sorry, my brain's all over the place tonight. I got to get back to the gym. I've got muddled brain going on lately. But the second one is we just don't talk any politics here. It's just not at all what my page is about. It's not against one side or the other. I really don't care. There's a million other pages out there for that. So thank you for the hearts. I'm not quite sure who sent them. But if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Thank you for sharing the live, Jessica. You're always so good about that. I appreciate that. I appreciate you too, by the way. I don't co-host people. Not right now, anyway. So I always like to say I'm on my journey of life where I am, and you're on your journey of life where you are. And none of us are going to agree on everything. And so you might hear some things said on my page, either from me or somebody who shares. And we might not agree on everything, right? None of us are ever going to agree on everything. So we agree to disagree on my page is my point. And so I just asked if you can't do that to hop off and keep scrolling. Diane, I don't know what you're talking about. Dell, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. So tonight we're going to talk about trusting the process. And I was going to talk about this last night and I got started, and then I had a gentleman hop on who lost his wife 3 months ago and was really struggling. And so I proceeded to talk to him and stuff. So new here, do you have a name, new here, and where you're from? Welcome. Glad to have you here. Thank you for all the hearts. Still missed who sent them. Struggling terribly. Okay, well, we can talk about it. I always believe the topic goes where the topic's supposed to go. Matt from Alabama, do you want to share why you're struggling? This is what we talk about here. I am here so people know that they're not alone. After my husband passed, I had my best friend and my kids and a handful of people. That was it. And so I felt very alone and very lost. And I never want anybody to feel that way. So this is part of why my community was created. So if you want to talk about it or share, lots going on. Do you feel comfortable sharing on here? Otherwise, you're welcome to message me. You feel lost? Do you want to talk about it? Or elaborate for me? Maybe I can help you somehow. At least you won't feel alone. Oh, and if your comments if I don't read your comment, that means I didn't get them. TikTok likes to filter them, and I don't have any filters on. I have no control over that. Got saved back in July and been struggling since. Okay. Give me more. And I don't know. Hopefully they're not. I don't know what comments they're filtering. So annoying. You have to be careful what you say. You cannot say, you have to say unalive, or you can't say the S word. You can't say, I get so picky around here. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. Okay, that's great. Loving life. I appreciate that. Please stop or I'm going to have to block you. DJ, thank you for the follow. All right. Too little, too late. I hate blocking people, but you know what? If you're going to come in here and clog up my comments with my father unsolved himself in my yard. Okay. I already blocked you. Sorry. And your wife miscarried. So your father-in-law, I'm assuming, unalived himself in your yard and your wife miscarried. Did she miscarry because of the stress of that? Is that what I'm getting? I'm from New England, first time here. Welcome, DJ. My name is Renee. Glad to have you here. Okay, I gotcha. So when did this all happen? And if you feel more comfortable, you're sure welcome to message me and we can talk in private. That's up to you. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. Shortly after, we're blessed with 2 foster kids. Okay, so that's a blessing, right? Dale, you're back, buddy. Just hang on with us, okay? You're adopting. Okay. Yes, you did, Dale, and I'm so proud of you. I did send you a message, though, but it won't let me send you any more unless you accept. I would appreciate if you did that. You're a fireman and a flight medic. My wife is an RN. Okay. And your father-in-law unalived himself, and then I'm assuming your wife then miscarried after that because of that. Just really stressed. Well, you know what? Tonight's topic, your father. Okay, gotcha. Tonight's topic would be a perfect one then for you, trusting the process. When my husband unalived himself, I learned to trust the process, all within 6 months. Okay. Believing that having faith that everything is going to work out, right? Thank you for the butterfly in the heart. I appreciate that. I hope you hang with us tonight, Dale. Just keep coming back, buddy. Okay? Oh, thank you for the heart. Yeah, I appreciate that so much. So I'm going to talk a little bit. You can keep commenting. One thing I didn't say when I first started is we are not shy here, and you're never interrupting me. My page is your page. My page depends on you, and that's why I'm here. So you can keep commenting, and we'll just keep talking. Hey, Wayne, you're back. How are you, buddy? I was going to text you today to see how you've been. It's been, a week and a half, 2 weeks since I talked to you. So just keep talking to me. And did you tell me your name already, though? I apologize. I have the worst. Bless, no stress. Did you tell me your name? Can you tell me again if you did? I'm sorry. Matthew. I'm sorry about that. I'm horrible with names sometimes. Well, it's nice to meet you, Matthew. And you're welcome to keep commenting and we'll talk. And so trusting the process, right? So when I lost my husband, I'm very much an A personality. I like to control every aspect, right, of life. And my husband's been gone a little over 2 years. And I finally realized when I stopped having that tug of war with the divine, my life went smoother. Nice to meet you. Where are you from? Thank you. Not bad. Okay, good. Are you getting that cold spell too that they're getting in Iowa? I'm from California. I just moved here a couple months ago. I'm from South Dakota. Well, I'm originally from Iowa, but I consider myself a South Dakotan because I lived there the longest out of all my moves in my life. But I do live in California at the moment. So just keep talking and we'll just, if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. And so, like I said, when I stopped having that tug of war and always wanting to know when and how and all of those questions and just kind of learn to have faith and go with the flow, everything seems to go so much smoother. Oh, sorry, guys. Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Dale, thank you for that. Kayla from the UK, welcome. And I think I missed somebody. Alabama here, 1 mile from the University of Alabama. Okay. Good to know. Good evening. Hey, Jesse, good evening. Hey, guys. Thank you for the hearts. I'm not quite sure who's sending them. Jesse is. Thank you. So it's having faith in your plan, system, or journey, right? So knowing that, things happen in our lives, things happen in our journey, but still having faith through all of that. And sometimes that's really tough, right? You're talking to me. I understand. I've been to what you could say hell and back for the last 2 years. Kayla, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. But it involves having patience, self-belief, letting go of the need of control, which is hard. And I want to tell you, Matthew, you said you're adopting. I don't know if that's what obviously with everything else that you were going through, if you're struggling with that, maybe the process, I don't know. What I can tell you, like I said, is when you stop playing tug of war and having to know exactly when things are going to happen and how they're going to happen and how it's all going to work out, life, it always works out, right? Maybe it doesn't work out how we want it to, but it always works out. Sometimes, I always say I truly believe now more than anything, it's in divine timing and it's the divine's plan. Do I make a plan? Yes. Tentatively, I have a plan. But I always believe when my plan doesn't come through, then that just means the divine has a higher plan or a higher purpose for me, right? I talk to my spirit guides. I know not everybody agrees with that, and that's fine. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm just telling you that because I've had visions of my future, so I kind of know where I'm going a little bit. They don't tell you everything because you're not meant to know everything. But when I learned to stop going, okay, I know this is coming. When's it coming? How's it going to get here? And I just had faith. Everything just kind of clicks and it starts to fall into place. Obviously, we take action, right? What I started talking about last night, how do you deal with death if you're not 100% sure there's an afterlife? Well, and you can agree with this or not. If you weren't here when I said we agree to disagree here, and I'm okay with that. I can tell you there is an afterlife. I lost my husband a little over 2 years ago. I am a psychic medium. I do talk to those that have crossed over. I know that there is an afterlife. You can believe me. You cannot believe me. I'm not here to convince you. I believe in loving people right where they are. Kaylee, thank you for the likes. And so, like I said, it's your choice. You can believe or not believe, but I do know that there is. I do talk to those who have crossed over. So, and here's another thing. I'm not even going to go there. Thank you, Jesse. I believe you. Thank you. I do appreciate that. But like I said, since my husband passed, I'm not that person anymore. Here's my thing, right? I believe I just stay in my lane, right? If you are not hurting me, you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting others, you do you, boo, right? I just believe in loving people right where you're at. And that's why I always start my TikTok my lives with, I am on my journey where I am and you're on your journey where you are. And none of us are going to agree on everything. And, some of us are here in their journey and some of us are over here in their journey. And we can agree to disagree and still just love each other right where you are. I love you where you are. And, if somebody else is over here, I love them where they are. I just love everybody. I stay in my lane. I worry about me. Honestly, like I said, if you missed it, I've been to hell and back in the last little over 2 years. I didn't have time to worry about anybody as far as what they thought of me or what they were doing in their lives. If they needed me, I'm here for you. I love you, but you know what? You do you, boo. Like I said, if you're not hurting me, you're not hurting somebody else, you're not hurting yourself, you do you. But I can tell you there is an afterlife. So yeah, for sure. 'Cause I hear them all the time. I have a cousin who passed away. It was 4 years. What was it? A couple weeks ago. And he's always popping in on me. And I have a good friend, her husband's always popping in on me. And I hear my husband and I smell my husband. And so, The veil between us and them is very thin too. I can tell you that right now. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to just throw out there? Okay. If not, I'm just going to kind of keep talking. But what I was starting to say is, and I started to talk about this last night, is so after my husband passed, I discovered I had these abilities, right? Oh, thank you for the heart me. I appreciate that. Do you have a name and where you're from? And so after my guides breadcrumbed me to my purpose and I discovered what my purpose was, and then my guides were like, I've had signs from family members that have passed. Okay, yep, they like to give you signs. It's just not everybody's paying attention to see them. That's great. And just talk to them like normal. Judy from North Dakota. Where in North Dakota, Judy? Just curious. I just moved a couple months ago from South Dakota. What was the first sign your husband showed you that he was around? Well, before I knew that I had my abilities, I could smell him. And I know this sounds crazy, but my husband was a truck driver. And you know that stinky smell when you're all hot and sweaty and gross and he's been in the truck all day? That was the smell that I smelled. And then he would come to me in my dreams. And I knew that he could do that because I had had other people come to me in my sleep. Sorry, guys, now it's just flying. But yeah, I could smell him. Grand Forks. My daughter lived in Grand Forks for a while, so it's hard for me to believe there's a higher power when there's so much wrong with the world. Well, here's the thing with that is we do have free will. We are given free will. So sadly, we don't always make the right choice, right? I look at it this way. Life is just a big school of lessons. And that's what we're put here for. We're here to learn. And sometimes we make all the wrong choices, which I shouldn't say it that way because I believe it's not always a wrong choice, right? We make a wrong choice so we can learn a lesson. And hopefully we learn our lesson the first time and we don't keep making that choice, right? Does that make sense? So you can't say that there's not a higher power because people have free will to choose what they want to choose, sadly. And there's also, yeah, there's a whole bunch that goes into that. And I don't want to have that argument tonight, but why let that happen? Well, first of all, I don't believe anything is, that's a whole nother discussion for another night. But how do I want to say this? So my husband unalived himself 2.5 years ago. I believe everybody has a soul contract here. And I believe everybody signs a soul contract before they come here. And when their contract is up, their contract is up. Have you ever known somebody, sorry guys, it's really warm in here. Have you ever known somebody that tried to unalive themselves and it didn't happen? I believe that's because it's not their time, right? Or you've heard of people that have said, they said they've died, weren't alive, and they've come back, right? Because they've been told it's not your time, you need to go back. And so that's some of it that goes into play there. But that's a whole discussion. And I'm only here for an hour. Ken from Altoona, Pennsylvania. Is that right? Welcome. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. And so what I was saying is, so after I discovered my purpose and my guides are like, okay, now you need to get online and you need to start telling people your story, right? And so that was me a little bit going with, well, first it was going with the flow, waiting to put the puzzle pieces together to figure out what my purpose was, right? That was my first thing. Hey, Marie, how are you from Illinois? And so that was the first where I was learning to trust. And then December came and my guide said, okay, now you're going to get online and you're going to tell people, you're going to make reels and you're going to tell people your story. Well, I dragged my feet for another month because, oh, that's good. I'm so glad. Are you feeling better? And so I dragged my feet until January because I wasn't having that faith, right? I wasn't trusting my divine team. And so January came and then I finally started putting out reels. And then February came and my guide said, now you need to be on TikTok and you need to be telling your story on TikTok. And I drug my feet a little longer because I still wasn't trusting. And I was getting every step of the way. And as soon as I learned, like I said, I stopped having that tug of war, and I just, okay, I don't need to know past what's the next step. They would give me a step, and I would have faith that they're going to give me the next step when I was ready. And sure enough, then the next step came. And then I started and then they said, get on live. And I started doing lives. And then they said, start a YouTube channel. And I started a YouTube channel. And every step has come. And I can tell you, as soon as I started walking in faith and not having the doubt, we all have doubts, right? It does happen. But stop having the doubt so much and that playing that tug of war of, well, when's this going to happen? And when's it going to get better? And when's the new chapter coming? And when's the new door coming? Because I lost my husband after 32 years and that door just slammed in my face. And so I was like stuck, right? And I thought I was stuck, and my guides are like, you're not stuck. We're just preparing you for that new chapter, that new door, right? But in the meantime, you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, but I want that new door. When's that new door coming? And how are you going to bring it to me? And then when I started to finally just stop worrying about all that stuff and just, okay, what's my next step? And I do that next step, and then pretty soon they give me another step. And I've learned patience, which is not my virtue at all. I've learned patience in that time. I've learned a lot about myself in that time. I've healed myself in that time, what I call the stuck. And I've also learned I've learned a lot about myself. And I've also been prepared, and I've learned to have a thick skin because I know, like I said, a little bit of what's coming, and I'm going to need that thick skin for, what's coming. And so when they said, no, we're preparing you, I believe them. But like I said, when I stopped having that tug of war and I just learned to have faith and go with the flow, things go so much smoother. Learning to wrangle my emotions, that's huge. Not being able to be triggered still happens once in a while, right? Because we're human. Thank you for the likes, Jesse. I appreciate that. But, so basically, I'm going to hop back over to my topic here. I kind of squirreled there. Sorry, I'm a squirreler. So letting go, recognizing that challenges are part of your growth, right? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Thank you. So recognizing challenges are part of your growth, right? And I love this. My friend gave me an analogy about, say you're on a hike, right? And you're going down a trail, and all of a sudden, maybe there's a tree on the trail and you have to take a little detour. It doesn't mean you don't still get to your destination. It just means you had to take a detour, right? And so that's kind of how you have to look at life and the things that are thrown at you. They're challenges, but they're there for you to learn something. The biggest lesson I've learned in a little over 2 years is when I learned to change my perspective, that everything that happens to me isn't happening to me. It's happening for me. When I just tweak that a little bit to that, change that perspective, everything in my life changed. So like I said, recognizing challenges. So you're on the trail, there's a log in your way. Okay, well, we have to go around the log, and then we finally get back to our path, right? And so that's how you have to look at life's challenges. It's just another log in your trail. But eventually you will get to your destination. But what I'm also learning is life isn't about the destination. It's about the journey getting to the destination, right? And I'm squirreling again. I apologize. So focusing on action, not worrying about the when, the how, or, the results. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Jesse. So concentrate on the consistent steps. Consistent. Can I read my writing tonight? Yes. Embracing imperfections, right? Not everything is going to be perfect all the time. Sometimes I go to put out, when I first started doing reels, my guides were like, Renee, stop worrying about it being perfect. I would do a reel and it would be like 12 takes later. And it's like, no, it's not right. My hair ain't right, or this ain't right, or, whatever. And now I'm learning to, there again, release control and just go, okay, well, maybe on the second take, go, that's not so bad. And just put it out and go, it's okay. It's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I think about him all the time. He passed in August. Depression is setting in for you. I'm so sorry. Do you want to message me? Did I miss a comment, by the way? Because if you sent another comment before that, I did not see that. I am so sorry. Depression setting in. Okay. So that means, are you dealing with it? You're not dealing with the loss very well. I'm taking it if the depression's setting in. What are you doing to heal? Or should I just say to deal with your emotions? Anything? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. And just so you know, guys, we're shooting, I think it's 12 roses and 20 ice cream cones. Just something new, something fun I'm trying. I don't know. I don't pay attention to a lot of that stuff. So just throwing that out there. So while I wait for your comment, thank you for all the hearts. I appreciate that. It does help. So there again, understanding setbacks. If you're hiking, the trees in the trail, you take a detour, but you still get to your destination. I believe in the higher power. He controls life. Yes. I call it the creator, source, divine. I don't say God just because I've been down many rabbit holes and there was actually lots of gods. Which one are you referring to? So I just refer to it as that, but I do believe it's a higher power. I just don't use that term God. Sometimes I do on here just because so I don't confuse people, but I've had issues with family members because in the state probate, rough. I'm so sorry. Do you want to message me afterwards and we can talk? I might not get back to you tonight, but I have tomorrow. Usually by the time I get done here, it's late and I eat and then I don't have time to get back to anybody. But I will get back to you tomorrow, I promise. If you would like to, really talk about it further. Have you tried meditation or just exercise? That really helps with the depression, helps with the muddled head. And just journaling about it, just getting it out on paper, that was very beneficial for me. And just take a step back and breathe and realize that one, you cannot control those family members, right? That's the biggest thing is realizing that you cannot control those family members. So that's a situation that you obviously cannot control, right? So learning to take a step back, pause. Okay, what can I control in this situation? I can control my emotions. I can control my behavior. I can control how I feel about things, which is your emotions. Like I said, realize what you can control and you deal with what you can control. And everything else, you just kind of have to let it go with the flow. Because there is no controlling other people. You're not going to control those family members. My husband passed. I was with my husband for 32 years and they all abandoned me the day after the funeral. The day of the funeral was the last time I ever saw anyone or heard from anyone. And, when you can learn to take a step back and go, you know what, that's on them. It's not on me. And I understand within an estate, you have to struggle with that. But like I said, all you're going to do is get yourself up. Do not let them control your emotions. You be in control of your emotions. And if you're not sure how to do that, go over to Scorpio Medium. We just talked about controlling our emotions and how to deal with them. I just put a video up over there. If you're not already a subscriber to my YouTube, I have a lot of good tips on how to deal with those emotions. But that's the thing is, if you ever heard the phrase, You made me feel. No, nobody can make you feel anything. You are in control of your emotions. They are not. Just saying. And I'm not scolding you. I apologize for my tone. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. So let's see here. Failure, right? Sometimes we think we failed. Failure is just another way to learn. And if you're not willing to fail, then you're not willing to move forward or to I guess what you could say is win or succeed, right? Failure is part of that. If you're not willing to fail, you will never get to your end destination, because that's how we learn. Patience. Resist the I want my results right now. So if you're struggling with grief or the depression, know that it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to be healed overnight. You have to have patience and work your way through it. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Bobby. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. Welcome. That it's going to take time. But there again, trusting that your dedication and working on what you can work on is going to pay off in the long run, right? Everybody's always interested in that instant gratification. Well, it's taken me 2 years to work through my journey and to heal and to get where I'm at, and a lot of what you would call failure, But I don't look at it as failure. I look at it as failure as succeeding, because, like I said, without failure, you don't succeed. You don't evolve. You don't move forward. And that's why a lot of people don't evolve or move forward, is because they're afraid to fail. But failure is just learning. It's just another a detour to your learning, of your learning journey. Develop self-belief or confidence, right? I did not have a lot of self-belief when my husband left, mostly because I didn't even know who I was at that time. We got together when I was 16 years old. You don't know who you are when you're 16. And so through this little over 2 year journey, I had to learn who I was. And once I discovered who I really was and that I love myself and learned to love myself, then everything else evolves. Like I've said many, many times, learning who you are and learning to love yourself comes into every single thing you do in your life. You will find it all comes back to learning who you are and loving yourself. So developing and learning to develop that inner strength. For me, I'd never lived without an adult life without my husband. I had to learn that inner strength because I had never fully taken care of myself. And once I learned that I could take care of myself and that nobody was coming to save me, that I was going to save me, then that all came with that too. So there again, let go of control. Trying to manipulate the outcome is just playing that tug of war with the divine, and it just makes everything harder, takes longer, your journey takes longer, whatever it is you're working towards. So learn to release that control. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. And there again, when we have control, we're trying to, you got to allow that journey to unfold naturally. The more you resist, it doesn't work. Let it unfold how it's meant to, but still be committed to your journey, right? How to put whatever it is that you're doing, whether it be a healing journey. I try to focus on healing because that's what we talk about here. So say you're focusing on your healing journey, how to put it into practice. What does that look like, right? Taking daily steps to getting to that destination, right? Let's see. So create daily routines that support your objective. If your objective is to be able to like in my case, a couple weeks ago, I was so proud of myself for the first time in a little over 2.5 years. I journaled to my husband. I hadn't done that in a while. I had a moment, what I call a moment on here. I had a moment, and for the first time, I journaled to him and I was able to say that I am no longer angry with you. That is the first time that I have journaled that to him in 2 years. And so there again, that was one of my objectives, right? Learning to deal with that anger that I had. I had already gotten over the guilt, but I had a lot of anger towards him, which was affecting my life all the way around. Being disciplined and committing to yourself, right? And that includes not lying to yourself, being completely honest with yourself of, okay, I'm on this journey to get to my goal, to my healing, whatever your objective is, but being completely 100% honest with yourself and go, I'm not doing the work, maybe, right? Maybe you're saying you're doing the work, but you're not doing the work. And for me in the healing journey, doing the work was, journaling and doing my meditation and putting out my messages, which was part of my purpose. My objective was my healing and also my purpose, learning meditation and putting out my messages, which was part of my purpose. My objective was my healing and also my purpose, learning my purpose and that journey, and getting up every day and doing my meditation and getting my messages and putting them out to other people that I get from my guides. Learning to sit at my feelings. If you want to heal it, you have to feel it. You can say you're healing all day long, but if you're not sitting down and you're not dealing with those emotions, whatever they are, you're not walking through what I call that storm, then you're not feeling it and you're not going to heal it. And you have to be 100% committed to yourself and honest with yourself. And then again, on the opposite side of the coin, acknowledging your progress, right? I acknowledge how far I've came. I've came a long way. As I was telling the gentleman last night, I was not doing very well that first month after my husband died. I got on a Facebook Live and I was crying and screaming and I don't know what I'm going to do and I don't know how I'm going to handle this, and right? And I've come a long way. And so giving yourself credit, and how can, if you have a goal, right? Making sure that you have a way that you're tracking that. How are you tracking your goal, whether it be your healing journey? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? Your objective, maybe you have a dream that you're trying to get to. You need to figure out, first of all, what is your objective and how are you going to get there? Daisy Girl, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And Lisa, thank you for the likes. So vision boards are great, right? Rewarding yourself. Maybe you had, like I tell everybody, if you're new here, I had a moment, right? Thank you for sharing that live. I appreciate that. And so what I always say is it's okay to have a moment. Just don't unpack and live there. You can have 10 moments through your day. So maybe you had 10 moments today, but you picked yourself up, you reeled in your emotions, you didn't let them control your whole day. Guess what? Go reward yourself. Buy yourself an ice cream. Go get yourself a candy bar. Whatever it is, right? Make sure you're rewarding your progress some way, right? Thank you for sharing the live, Lisa. I appreciate that. And is it Erie? Thank you. So reward yourself. Gratitude. Gratitude is huge on any journey, whether you have goals and dreams of this is what you want to do in life or you want to be or you're healing. Gratitude. For me, this was a hard one when I first started. Yes, I had a lot of things to be grateful for when my husband unalived himself. But at that moment, I was very clouded and I struggled to write a gratitude list. But I knew that at the same time that it was important. And so it's really important to have gratitude. I do gratitude lists. I journal it. I try to. I don't get to it every day. That's something I'm learning to be more consistent with. But just being grateful, right? Even if it's just 2 or 3 things. Sometimes my kids will call and they're having a bad day. And I tell them, sit down and write 10 things you're grateful for. And you will be surprised how that'll bring you out of a depression, or how, if you're having anxiety or you're having a bad day, right? You're having a moment and it's lasting longer than it should. Sit down and write a gratitude list, and I guarantee you it changes everything. The more you put out into the universe that you're grateful, the more the universe rewards you. And I truly believe that. So appreciation for how far you've come and for your journey, right? I'm very proud of the person that I've become. Last week, I didn't have such a great moment. I did slip back a little bit, and I let myself be triggered. I didn't think I had any triggers left, or very few. And I was triggered, and I was proud of myself for acknowledging that I had the trigger. I was proud of myself for not stuffing my feelings with who I was triggered from. I expressed my emotions and why I felt triggered, where the old me would have maybe just stuffed it and stewed on it, right? So yeah, there again, life is about, sometimes we're handed lemons, make lemonade. Be present. Always try to be present, right? Yesterday's gone. It's in the rearview mirror for a reason. Tomorrow isn't here yet. Be present. Always be present. That's something my guides have like banged into my head in the last 2 years. Focusing on the here and the now is the most important. If you're focusing on tomorrow, you lose today, right? And just take each day as it comes. Be fulfilled in each step, right? One thing I've also learned on my journey is, like I said, it's not about the destination so much. It is, but it isn't. It's also about enjoying the journey, right? And enjoying those little moments. We get so wrapped up in, okay, well, I want to get to here, that maybe 6 months goes by to get to here, and you didn't enjoy any of those moments of those 6 months. That's part of your life that you missed, right? And sadly, even when we're having challenges in our life, those are still moments in our life. And finding a way to even be grateful and appreciative of those moments, those what I call learning moments, right? Yeah, they suck and they're challenges, but they're for you to learn something generally. And so being grateful for even those moments. Always listen to your inner voice. Your inner voice will never lead you astray. 2 times in my life that I regretted not listening to my inner voice. 2. One of the ones was the day when my husband got sick several years ago, about 3 years ago, when my whole journey with him began. And the day that my husband unalived himself, I didn't listen. So always listen to the inner voice. Trusting that intuition, the divine creator, whatever it is you say or believe, give you that inner voice for a reason. So listen to it. That's your inner wisdom. Everything you need to know is inside of you. Even though the world teaches you it's all outside of you. That's a whole nother day subject. So we'll leave it at that. Not worrying about outside voices and expectations, right? I always like to say other people's opinions and expectations of me are none of my business. I really don't care. What you think of me, what you say about me, I don't care. And when you can get to that in your life, that place in your life, then that takes away a whole other gamut of problems, right? Your people pleasing, all of that goes away. Because you don't need outside validation. The only validation you need is your own. And if you're struggling with that, go back to learning who you are and loving yourself. That'll get you there. What you learn from trusting the process builds resilience, reduces your stress, and helps you to evolve, right? When I learned to go with the flow, I have way less stress now. And I've just learned to, I know that the creator and my divine team are taking me where I need to go. When they tell me to take a step, I take a step and I listen. Other than that, they're pretty much, it's that, what was that phrase? Jesus, take the wheel. Although don't get me started on that either. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. Okay, let's see. Stay away from the quick fixes, you know, drugs, alcohol, substances. All that does is delay whatever it is you're going for. It suppresses it, right? What I always like to say, that stuff, it throws everything under the rug, right? You're suppressing it. And you can only shove stuff under the rug for so long, and then eventually you're going to trip over the rug. So if you can, stay away. I'm not saying you can't have, you know, a half a glass of wine or a glass of wine. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying don't use it to throw everything that you don't want to feel to heal under the rug. That's pretty much everything I have. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that or have any questions? I know I've just kind of been rambling on. Lisa, thank you for all the likes. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you so very much. While I'm waiting, if you missed it, I do have a YouTube channel. It's under Scorpio Medium. So if you're not a subscriber over there, I would love it if you went over there and subscribed. If this is the first time you've ever been on a live with me, I upload all my lives over there. So if you'd like to go check those out, those are all uploaded over on Scorpio Medium. I am here Sunday through Wednesday. I try to be as consistent as possible. Obviously, life happens and sometimes I'm not here, but I try to be here Sunday through Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thursdays, I just started. Last week was the second week I started a Zoom meeting. So if you're going through grief or loss and you're struggling and you would like to come hang out with us on tomorrow night, because it is Wednesday, right? Lose track of my days. Come hang out on my Zoom, send me an inbox, an email, whatever, and I'll give you how to log into that. But that's at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That way it gives everybody on the East Coast some time to get on before it's too late. So that is a Zoom meeting for loss and grief. So if you're struggling there, like I said, you never have to talk. You know, you can mute yourself, you can talk, you can, whatever you feel comfortable with. I started it because I want people to know that are struggling that you're not alone. So Zoom tomorrow night, Thursday night, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you didn't catch, I am a medium. I do readings. If you would like a reading, you can check out my bio, find my email. That's how I set those up, is through my email. Last but not least, I have a Venmo. If you would like to leave me a tip, if you enjoy my content and would like to leave me a tip, that's always there. Never expected, but always greatly appreciated. That's pretty much everything I have. Just if anybody's got anything they need to get off their chest or talk about. Lastly, like I said, I just want you to know that you're not alone. So if you are going through something, know that you're not alone. You are loved. You are worthy. Hey, do you have a name and where you're from? You have a question? Okay, shoot.
Okay, I'm joking.
Sorry. Walls are paper thin here, so my friend's son's playing video games.
I'm joking.
Colton,
Yeah.
you're kind of loud, buddy. What's your question? Hopefully they'll let it come through. If it doesn't come through, I apologize. It's TikTok. You can always DM me after. Is it Nene? Because that's what I used to be called when I was a kid. From New York City? Okay. My dad passed away last August and I didn't see him before he died. Does he forgive you? Absolutely. And I didn't mean to chuckle at that, Lisa. Absolutely. Anytime you're randomly thinking of you, he's right there with you. So, and Dana, I'm waiting for your question whenever. Just think of it this way. It's a whole different process when they're over there, right? They're different people. They go through a life review and they see, they see if they've hurt you, they see how you felt, how they felt, how they treated you. They see it all over there. They go through a life review. So they're completely different people over there. That's worldly things for us, not for them. Lisa, you're definitely good. And you can talk to him, right? You don't need me to talk to him. And like I said, anytime you're just, suddenly he pops into your head, that means usually he's sitting right next to you or standing or whatever you're doing. Nene, are they letting your comment come through? I hope so. They do this sometimes, and it's annoying as heck, and I have no control over it. So if your question does not come through, you're sure welcome to send it to me on a message. Oh, good. I'm glad. Yes. No. Forgive you. Was there something in between there? TikTok likes to filter my comments, guys. I have no filters on, and so sometimes I don't get all of the question. Sometimes I don't get any of the question. Like I said, if it doesn't come through, please send me a DM and we can talk there. If I lose hearing in one ear, hear a high-pitched frequency, what is that? A lot of times that's the divine trying to give you a message. I'm not sure. Your question isn't coming through. Generally, that's what that is. Now, when I say the divine, it can be anybody from your divine team. It can be a crossed over loved one. It can be your spirit guides. It can be an angel. Somebody's trying to give you a download of some sort or trying to get your attention. A lot of times that's in the right ear. If you're getting it in the left ear, sometimes that's a warning. We didn't have a good relationship. Okay, so somebody you didn't have a good relationship with, you want to know if they forgive you? Is that what you're asking me? What I'm just trying to piece together, because I'm obviously not getting all of the comments. Yes. And just talk to them. And like I said, they're different people they're a soul on the other side, right? They lose what I call the meat suit. They go through a life review, all that stuff doesn't apply over there anymore. Does that make sense? Right? They don't, grudges and all that stuff, Yeah. That's all worldly and our stuff that we sit with. And I know, because when I was 12, my grandmother passed away and we weren't speaking at the time. And a couple days before she passed, she called our house and my mom's like, Renee, you need to come talk to your grandmother. And I'm like, no, because I was upset with her. And, I felt guilty till I was in my 20s. I didn't know, I carried that. How long is life review before moving on? That I can't tell you. I think it depends on, how long they lived and all that. I don't know exactly. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. I have just a few minutes left, guys. I try to keep this right around an hour. She was 94. Okay. Well, just know, because what I'm gathering, because I'm not getting all your question. Somebody passed away and you're wondering if they forgive you because you weren't in a good relationship. Just know they do. Your grandmother. Yeah. When you're randomly thinking of her, she's there with you. And like I said, they're different people on the other side. Once they cross that veil, everything changes. That's all earthly worries and things like that. So, but if you would like to I do readings. So if you ever wanted a reading with her, like I said, just shoot me an email. I do a 30-minute and an hour. Just throwing that out there for you. I don't do readings online anymore. I was doing mini reads on Wednesday nights. And for reasons I can't talk about at the moment, I had to stop doing that. But they might start again someday. But right now, I'm just not doing it that way. Okay, guys. Well, if nobody else has anything else, I hope y'all have a great night. I will be back, today's Wednesday, so I won't be back until Sunday. Like I said, if you're going through a loss or you've lost somebody and you're struggling, do know that I'm having the Zoom meetings on Thursday nights. Send me an email and get in my inbox. I can get you how to log in for that. That's at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Otherwise, I won't be back until Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Not sure what we're talking about yet then. I hope y'all have a great night. I hope y'all make tomorrow great, because it is a choice. And on that note, until we meet again.